Our digestion process begins in the mouth, where our teeth break down food into smaller pieces, which is a form of mechanical digestion. Additionally, this mixes in with the saliva, which has an enzyme called salivary amylase, and this is the chemical digestion of our food. You can see our mouth. These teeth are what break down food using mastication or chewing. Here we have our tongue, which pushes the food back into our pharynx, allowing for the first steps of swallowing. The enzyme involved, salivary amylase, breaks down carbohydrates, specifically starch. This diagram shows our salivary glands, all of them producing the saliva, which includes the salivary amylase. The end product of this digestion is a disaccharide called maltose. Here we can see how our oral cavity, where the mouth is, connects down here to our esophagus. This enters the esophagus, which is a muscular tube. No enzyme is involved here or any digestion. This is mostly about traveling down into the stomach. So the esophagus is a muscular tube that uses contractions like this, wave-like contractions called peristalsis. This is what's moving down the food into the stomach mechanically. Here we can see the muscular tube of the esophagus connecting our oral cavity right here down to the stomach. Once the food goes from the esophagus into the stomach, there is more mechanical digestion when the food is churning around physically in the stomach. Chemically, acids and enzymes begin to digest the protein. The enzyme involved in this protein digestion is called pepsin. Pepsin originates from pepsinogen. So the nutrients that pepsin digests is proteins. These proteins become peptides. Next, the food enters the small intestine. The first part of the small intestine is the duodenum. This is our esophagus again, connecting with our stomach through the gastroesophageal sphincter. Right here is our duodenum, otherwise known as the first part of our small intestine. The duodenum has a lot of chemical digestion. Therefore, this is the location of the most enzyme-related chemical digestion in this process. Pancreatic amylase, which is produced by the pancreas, continues to break down carbs into maltose. Here next to the stomach, we can see the pancreas, which releases several enzymes, including pancreatic amylase. Another enzyme found in the duodenum is trypsin and chymotrypsin. Trypsin and chymotrypsin continue to break down proteins into peptides. Lipase breaks down fat into fatty acids and glycerol. This works best after bile continues to emulsify this fat. This bile comes from the liver. Additionally, in the duodenum, nucleases break down nucleic acids into nucleotides. Nucleic acids are DNA and RNA. The next process of digestion is still occurring in the small intestines, but now in the ileum and the jejunum. Here we have our esophagus, our stomach, our duodenum, our jejunum, and our ileum is the purple. As the food mixture moves through the small intestine, the final process of digestion is going to occur in the intestinal lining using brush border enzymes. Here's what happens. Maltase breaks down maltose into glucose. Sucrase breaks down sucrose into glucose and fructose. Lactase breaks down lactose into glucose and galactose. Peptidases break down peptides into amino acids. Lastly, nucleotidases continue to break down nucleotides into phosphates, simple sugars, and nitrogenous bases. These end products, which include simple sugars and amino acids, are absorbed through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream, and fats are absorbed into the lymphatic system. Any remaining undigested material enters the large intestine. Here, water and electrolytes are absorbed, and gut bacteria may break down some fiber. Whatever is left gets turned into feces, And these feces are stored in the rectum, and then bowel movements is what causes it to be eliminated through the anus. This is our large intestine. This is where the small intestine would be. This is where the large intestine connects with our rectum, which stores the feces. Here we have a diagram of our entire digestive system, starting with the oral cavity with our mouth and the saliva, going down the muscular tube of the esophagus. Next we have our stomach, which is next to our pancreas, which releases enzymes. Here we have our small intestine on the inside, which includes our duodenum, our jejunum, and ileum, which connects to our large intestine. Whatever is not absorbed and digested in the large intestines goes down to the rectum and the anus.